G'day guys, got a little bit of in-car footage. Everyone wants it, everyone loves it. We don't normally do cameras in the car very often because it's a huge pain in the ass and we've got so much to focus on, and honestly having a camera in the car is just like the least of our worries on a race weekend usually. And that's because of typical things like what happened first time out in the RX8. When we finally put one in there, the race had a lap and a half and then safety card, and it took ages to recover the vehicle, so we only got a lap and a bit. And then the next race, which we won, the SD card filled up by turn 1, so you know we got stuff all, but I'll show you what I've got. But also what I will show you is our warm-up procedure, because I was talking to someone about that, who we race with, and Daniel just wanted to understand, you know, what we sort of went through and why, and yeah, just to help himself, because he's come from sort of track day work to now racing, and yeah, he's learning a lot. So I'll talk about that as well. And quickly, I'm in my sim room at the moment. Sim's like, it's my office, but it's got my sim in it, and a bunch of racing gear. Keep it all inside here. I wanted to show you guys my new lid because I love it. I've been working on this with Check It Out graphics for ages, mainly because we just got busy and I forgot about it. I forgot I even had it. I bought it. This is a GP7, so I came from a GP6, which is the blue one up there, which I had for years. And then yeah, we built this new guy. So my design, real quick, is basically like the Weber layout, which is these lines here and around here and whatnot, sort of how he had his lids in the day. And I started with that layout just because when I really started getting into motorsport, I was following Weber and what he was doing, and followed him into F1, and that's when I really started getting fully into it. Yeah, and I respected him for what he did and how he sort of approached it, and his professionalism and the way he drove and everything else. So definitely a shame he didn't get that championship, and his own mistakes ate that one, and yeah, he missed out. Probably one of the best drivers that never got a championship, I would say, in F1. There's a few though, but yeah, so I run that. I've got my normal turtle shell on the top, which is from old school days. So I've had 4 lids now with turtle shells on. One was like a full turtle shell, and then the turtle shell keeps changing, and this one's a red one, like a heat seeker from Mario Kart. The RI logo, but with 01, like the Bond logo in it. What I'd got done this time, so I actually got my kids to paint their hands and put them on paper, right? And we did it with different colours and whatever, but then the guys that Check It Out scanned the handprints and then transferred them onto the lid, and then we've written their names on there. So these are their actual handprints. I've got them each side, so I've got Jimmy and Bobby, my 2 boys, on there. And then I felt bad that I was putting them on and doing nothing for my wife, and she fully loves leopard print. So we've got this like leopard print detail just sort of on various parts of the lid, and then my Bond Racing logo. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I really like the way it's come out. I run the air induction on my helmets because we drive mid-mount cars and there's just lots of fumes and things in the cabin, and any fresh air you can get into the lid is a really good thing. I've actually got a much bigger, more intense one that feeds fresh air into the mouth as well, and I really could have used it the other weekend because we had an exhaust leak and it was really bad when I was slowing down. So under safety car, it was not good for me to be in the car with an exhaust leak like that. So yeah, that's something I need to consider whether we change to that setup for those reasons. But for now, this at least pumps some fresh air into the lid, and then I've got fresh air coming in, you know, towards the helmet anyway, through a NACA duct and then a fan, and it all turns on automatically once the car's running. So yeah, so that's my lid. Warming up, we want to get as much of the car warm as possible, especially at the start of the day. before it goes out on track. So over the course of the day, everything heat soaks. So as the heat gets through everything, it retains at least a certain level. You know, casings are warm and bearings and things like that, so everything's not stone cold. So it's not as important to do it between sessions. So we might have 3 to 5 sessions a day, depending on whether it's practice, quality, racing, whatever. And they're usually within a reasonable time frame. And it's probably only just enough really to let everything sort of cool down to then be maintaining some sort of temperature that, you know, just warming up the engine again and going is not a bad thing. But at the start of the day, when everything's stone cold, we want to warm as much up as we can before we go on the track, because if you just start the car and let the water temp come up but nothing else, and then you drive out onto the track, and I see guys do it, and they're like, oh yeah, but I'm already at 70 degrees, 80 degrees, I'm good to go, and they just start flogging their car straight away. Everything else is stone cold, you know, so the gearbox and the diff and everything's just hating on it. So we will get the car up on stands, either on the air jacks or just on your jack stands or whatever, and then while the motor's warming up, we also want to just be starting to get through the gears, so the gearbox is turning and the diff is turning, and at that point you can also just be loading up the rear brakes or front brakes if you're front wheel drive or whatever, and at least you're getting temperature in as many places as you can, you know. So you just want everything sort of coming up to temp as best as you can as a group. Track the first time, you want to do that as well. You don't want to just focus on warming up your engine or just warming up your rear tyres or just your brakes. You really want to try and get everything up to temp collectively. You know, so that's obviously safety for the car mechanically, but also the balance of the car. So if you're doing your warm-up lap and you're really focused on one specific area, you know, you might arrive at turn 1 with really nice warm front tyres, but the rears are frozen and, you know, the brakes are cold and whatever. Or, you know, your front brakes are really, really dialed, but there's nothing in the rear. That's not terrible. But you might have cold tyres, but really warm brakes, right? So that's great when the brakes start to work, but the tyre doesn't have the mechanical grip because it's not warm yet. So on the outlap, what I'm trying to do is, you know, so the engine's obviously already warm, so we've already got water and oil temp, and the box and the diff have been warmed up, and we've got some brake temp in the rear. But then I'm really trying to work the engine up its RPM range, you know, towards the limiter slowly over the lap. As in, you know, I don't want to just go straight to the limiter out the gate, but I need to get there, because by the time you launch off the line, like, you're going full tilt. You're not going to do the first lap of the race, you know, trying to baby it. So you do need to quickly get it fully up to speed, loosened up and nice and warm. At the same time, you want to try to be getting the rears to spin if you can, if that's depending on the car. So, you know, I'll usually just do that first gear in a straight line, and at first you'll feel it spin and it will rev up real quick, but then even after just a few goes at that, you'll feel it start to drive, you know, and it won't whoop as fast, and then, you know, you've already just got at least some temp in the back. And then I work the front brakes really hard, and that's because you need to get temp so that the brakes are nice and tight and they're ready. And also that temperature is then going to work its way out into the wheel, and it helps the tyre. So yeah, I thought I'll show you guys my whole actual warm-up lap so you can see it. It's boring, but it's definitely something that we don't normally watch, right? And I think for the guys that are either doing track days or getting into racing, understanding, you know, warming up your car is extremely important, especially for racing, because once you hit the start, you know, you're just going to drive flat out. So if you haven't got your car warm, you're either going to do mechanical damage or you're going to struggle on that first lap. You know, when other guys have got up to temperature nicely and you just can't work out why you can't brake as deep or don't have the front end grip as other guys do. So every car is going to be different, and it's a balance thing. You know, if if you're going into lap 1 and just like, man, my rears are just absolutely breaking loose and sliding and I got no traction, well then you need to focus on your rear tyres on the warm-up. So you can be super aggressive with your turning, and as you're doing that on the front, you know, turn it, and as soon as it starts to go, like, give it a big blip of throttle so that the back wants to slide at the same time. So you can be doing like a front load and then have the back want to slide as well. And then you're heating everything up at the same time as you're doing that. And then you do a few of those, and you get back on the brakes, and then some more steering, and then back on the brakes again. And that's so that you're trying to keep temperatures up and keep collectively, like, you know, bringing them up. By the time you get to the grid, you've got as much temperature across the whole car as you can. You know, if you pull out of the gate just doing the rears, and then you spend the rest of the lap doing all the fronts, by the time you get to the grid, your rears have gone cold and your fronts are really good, and that's a balance problem. So you might get great turning, but then the rear slides because it's got no temp. So, yeah, that's what we do. Every track's different. If it's longer, you know, you might not be as aggressive straight away and then get more aggressive towards the end of the lap. Under safety car, you're doing exactly the same thing because you need to maintain temperature in the car. Yeah, and then there's all sorts of other things to consider, like your tyre pressures and where they're at and what you want them to be at and things like that. So yeah, the warming up procedure is quite important, and you know, especially when you've got a really tight grid, which we're expecting next round, that we're going to have quite a few guys within a close range, that if you go out on the first lap stone cold and you lose a bunch of positions, you might not get them back. You know, you might be so equal on pace, and then everyone's, you know, has good racecraft that you just can't make them back, and it could all come down to just your warm-up procedures just was not quite as dialed as what it needed to be, just to maintain position or make a position at the start or whatever. Yeah, so lots to think about. So yeah, let's jump on and have a look, and I'll show you, yeah, what I've got as far as onboard. It's obviously the first time we raced it, so keep that in mind. So I'm still working out little things in the car. I'm still getting my head around things. I'm still, you know, wasn't fully sure, even in some corners, like whether I should be second or third, and I was still trialling a lot of things like that. So we lost all our testing time to a muffler problem. So I was still, even come the race, I was still trying to work a few things out. So if I look a bit tentative, I mean, that's why. And classic example of temperature. Turn 3, try to go around the outside of Matt, and there was a bit of a patchy, it'd been raining in the morning and the track was a bit patchy, but I just get like bulk handfuls of understeer and I just couldn't maintain the outside line. And I probably didn't expect to, but you know, potentially if I had done more work on the front tyre, I might have had enough to be able to hold him around the outside, and then we would have run down together to the kink. But you know, it was still fun racing while it lasted. Yeah, so we'll have a look at those. 2 launches, one I fully bogged down because same thing, still getting used to what to do, and the other one I probably got pretty close to dialed. I think it maybe dropped a little bit, but then it spins just right on the edge and I can get the next gear, which I kind of egged because I was still too much throttle. So again, more learning of the car, but yeah, got good drive that time and jumped Matt, who was on the front row. The Ferrari actually got quite a good launch too, but I think maybe when he hit second he might have spun up, and I managed to get a jump on him as well. So I'll show you those two, what I've got, and yeah, and then that's it. And maybe one time I'll do a quick video on this stuff. So got some old race suits up there. Yeah, this is my sim. I'll do a whole another video on this because there's lots of guys that sim race now and it's pretty cool. Got some trophies over there, but yeah, just a triple 32-inch monitor setup and VRS direct drive wheel and or wheelbase and a custom wheel and dash and whatever. And yeah, I've sim raced for getting on towards a decade now. I really do enjoy this, and yeah, happy to sort of run through it for anyone that's interested. Maybe do a specific video on that and the correlation between that and real world. Lots of similarities and lots of things that are completely different. So yeah, let's jump on board. Well, let's have a look at this warm up and go from there. See ya.